Hello. Can everybody hear me? I don't want to show my ceiling. It's so ugly. But I'm going to. All right. Well, we're waiting for some people to jump in. Go ahead and use the chat and type in, I don't know, just kind of let me know how long you've been with Dragon Federation. If you're regular, we're doing this on a off night tonight. So normally we do this on Mondays, but we're doing it on Tuesday because we had some unforeseen stuff. Additionally, if you have any questions tonight, we are going to be talking about the stabling. I think this would be a really good conversation. I've kind of prepared some notes for this one because there's a lot going on. But go ahead and start putting your questions in there. And hello. Seeing some normal, or I guess some regulars. I don't have my my proper computer, the one that's actually running a little bit better. Let me know if it's laggy right now, and I'll just like share at certain points. But yeah, let me know in the messages if it's laggy or if I'm just seeing something that I don't want to see. And can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Oh, good. Just got some more people that joined in, so that's good. All right. So once again, go ahead. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is your first time, then great. If it's not, then great as well. It's laggy on my end too. Can hear you, but it did freeze when I initially opened the screen. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop sharing because I think that's going to hold better. That's probably better, right? I know that there's a little bit of delay with the live, but we'll just kind of go with this. We'll start. Welcome to Lauren's Story, Tuesday afternoon. I will start. Do you know what? I'll wait till the end. I will share some of the news that happened, but unfortunately, it has to do with one of our developers, and it was pretty shocking, to be honest with you. Before we get into that, again, I know that there's been a lot of questions in the Discord. If you haven't been on the Discord and you haven't been paying attention to it, there's been questions going around about the stabling, what happens after the year subscription, what kind of goes into that. Sometimes we're talking about the year subscription. Is it included? Is it not included? Also, Dragon Death, we talk a lot about that. But again, we're going to talk about the stabling, the monthly that comes along with your dragon, why it's there in the first place, and kind of understanding what's next, what's going on with it. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, because I'd like to queue those so that if I don't answer anything specifically here, we can just kind of line up your guys' questions right away, and then we can kind of get going from there. So I apologize. I had some slides, but it's pretty laggy, so I'm just going to go through this. And you know what? I'll just flash it up on the screen real quick. So kind of the first thing here is real quick. Basically, why is there a stabling membership? That's the headline, right? And one of the things that I'll just kind of point out to this is that, have you ever tried to take care of an animal without a budget? And then, just as a comparison, most pets, and your dragon is not a pet, mind you, but on the cheap side are roughly about $1,200 annually. Now, sometimes this gets us into a little bit of trouble when we start talking about pets and companions very similarly, because a lot of people say there's no way that this is even close to the quality of a pet. And, especially with some of the stuff that we've seen or what's going on with that. Um, I will share you this, that we're not trying to compare with a pet, especially in the real life, but there are a lot of people in this world that, for whatever reason, landlords don't allow it, kids, allergies, travel. There's a lot of reasons why not everybody can have one or doesn't have one. This solution, Dragon Federation, was actually originally created for that purpose. And for some of you that just even want a dragon as a companion, it's always talked about in lore and everything else. So it's one of the reasons why we kind of coupled the two. And it's also one of the reasons why it's taken us a little bit longer to move everything forward the way that it has, because we are putting that kind of love and care and attention into this whole thing. I don't want to spend too much time on that, because we'll let you guys be the judge, and we'll also be having a lot of feedback here in the next couple of weeks, months, especially when some of the things that are happening on the tester side get rolled out to the larger group, because we're going to get feedback from everybody on that. But I want to talk about real quick, what does stabling cover? Because there's been a lot of different things that have happened through different promotions that we've done throughout, especially the last couple of years. And I think the number one thing that we want to talk about with what does that cover is your autonomous dragon care. Yes, we've talked about the permadeath scenario, which is not a good one for anybody. I know that you guys don't like that. But again, like consequences or actions without consequences don't really yield much of anything. It's why NPCs in most games are treated horribly, because it gives us the opportunity to go to our basis forms. But our dragons do have death. The good news is that only usually comes about when you're actually exploring, and you're putting your dragon into a position where it's not ready to be in a position. And so we do have systems that are warning and other thing that will let you know that your dragon isn't ready, that you are not ready to be in this situation, and that some adverse effects could come of it. But in that, the stabling covers your basically autonomous dragon care. So let's talk a little bit about that. If you were here for a while ago, we did one of these box naming I guess polls contests, where different people submitted names for a box. And this box, it's the care package box. It shows up once a week or even daily, depending on subscription level. But you basically, that comes in it, you get your daily food for your dragon. We are talking about some different things that are included, including like a dragon bed. There are digital apparels and other things that are associated with that, because whether you decide to be in a like an in-app purchase because you want customizations or whatever else, there's that. But the main things in there are the daily food delivery, the treats to help train your dragon, and even kenneling. And when we talk about kenneling, one of the biggest things that was a feedback to us was that you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can thumbs up or heart if that's something that you're looking for, but kenneling is the service in which you're going to travel, you're going to be at work, you're going to be at a place that you can't engage with your dragon, and you want to have it taken care of. This service, and what this is, and this comes with that, it allows you a specified number of kenneling days, like on a monthly basis, so that basically the trajectory that you're on can be maintained and not be lost, right? That's one of the bigger important things that you guys have expressed that you want to have. And we were talking about it as babysitting, which will come. But when we talk about kenneling, that's really one of the main things. Getting in a question. So I'm going to see if that's relevant to what we're talking about. Demo on the app, breathtaking, but freezes for me and evolving speaking to the egg. I am so excited. Well, that is an awesome comment. Thanks. Basically, ACPC training for that comment. I'll address some of that stuff because even what you're seeing on a quick sidebar on the app that you've downloaded from the App Store, we are so far beyond that at this point. So I apologize that hasn't been updated, but there's about, I don't even know how many versions away we are from that. But again, just talking about those 4 basic things, right? So we've got daily food delivery, we've got treats, and that's going to be for the training side of things. And these are things that you'll also be able to store even when your dragon's in the egg, because you don't need food and you don't need treats. But once your dragon hatches, obviously you're going to start consuming stuff pretty readily. And we wanted to make sure that you have a store of supplies, especially before resource gathering comes online. And we'll talk about that. Maybe we can ask questions or dive into that a little bit. And then, like I said, kenneling, which is the babysitting side of things, and then the toy or the tool that actually helps with the dragon training. And I'll get into that a little bit because depending on the level of subscription in which you opt for, especially during the Kickstarter, there are sort of tiers within that would allow you to understand it's like, hey, I'm going to be gone a lot more than 50% of the time, and I don't want to have to worry about that. So I want to opt for a subscription that allows me a lot more kenneling time, if you will. Or I'm going to be spending so much time training my dragon, I don't want to spend time gathering resources. So I want to make sure that the toys and tools that I have are upgradable when they're available. Stuff like that we're kind of building this in there to make your guys' life a little bit easier. Here comes Sprat. Can we clarify plan with the VR climate and with the sudden decline in VR usage and support? Does Dragon Federation still plan on creating VR world or maybe focus on AR? I'll get to that one as well, Mr. Sprat. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but just to let you know what's going on there is we have not abandoned VR. The key to reminder of this is that VR has been largely abandoned by the manufacturers. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to be in that place because, again, the experience that you have with your dragon, especially as a companion, as you raise your dragon, is going to be far more interesting in the spatial environments, in the VR and the XR environments. And so that's something that's still on that roadmap. But we'll talk about that a little bit more because even the AI glasses that are available, and a lot of them that have the holographic projections in them, those we absolutely have a roadmap for those. So I'll just share that with you. The other thing to kind of think about when it comes to the stabling, and we'll just kind of go back to this, is there's different prices, right? You may have heard what that means. And again, this is just for your own customization. We talked about this before. Different people have different lives, and this allows for all the trainers to be able to customize as they see fit. So that's really all that it is. Some people have more time, some people have less time, some people want to involve more people, or some people want to have a more solitary experience. And all of these types of things are looked at in that roadmap. I'm not going to go too deep into this just because I've discussed it quite a bit. As far as like the different tools, different treats, just kind of the different path that you're looking to take with your dragon. There's going to be something in there that enhances your effort and your lifestyle. So it just kind of pairs those things together. Okay, let's talk about what's going to happen if you stop the membership. Um, in a nutshell, your dragon's not going to die. Like we said before, Dragon Federation is the caretaker on this, not the caretaker. You guys are actually the caretaker, but we're kind of like the pet adoption agency. And so what that means is we have systems in there to keep your dragon sustained. So you guys have probably experienced on the early app, like the stasis, or at least it stated it. For those of you that have gone to the extreme in the pre-hatch sequence, your dragon has probably been threat of going into stasis or into cryo, depending on which side of the heat index that it's been going to. But that is built into the system. And that's also part of this because we understand that things happen and you got to take care of what you got to take care of. And sometimes your companions need to be on the chopping block, at least for what you have to take care of in your personal life. And so, with that, again, this isn't to disrupt your life, it's to actually enhance your life. And if it stops becoming that for whatever reason, then the ability to either put that into stasis or cryo is going to be available. That would allow you to actually kind of pause the development of your dragon, especially if you had designs to be coming back and doing it at another time. There are going to be the people that decide for whatever reason that this isn't for them. And in those situations that we hope to actually have some adoption running, especially because, and I'll talk a little bit about the Kickstarter here in a moment, but we definitely are running into the more demand than supply, especially for certain clutches. And so that should also allow placement of dragons, especially as this thing is fully up and running. So that's another option that is within this. And then again, like just if you're done, like we will look at it. So on that secondary market to even be able to sell it. But maybe we'll look at something where it's like, hey, I still want images or pictures, depending on how bonded you are, open adoptions or closed adoptions, depending on the type of person that you are and what you're going to elect and how you're going to elect to do it. So yeah, let's see. And reset full correct, meaning we'll start taking care of our eggs at the same time. Yeah, I'll get to that here in just a little bit as well, Mr. Spratt. You got some good questions. I'm just going to try and stay on the the stabling, just so that we can kind of level the playing field a little bit on this, especially as we're getting closer to the Kickstarter. So all of those reasons that I've just shared with you are kind of the lore behind why they exist and everything else. There is some practicality to this. And for those that would like to know a little bit more, or for those that want to keep all the, I guess, the realism out of this, go ahead and plug your ears for this moment. This is a little bit of a behind the scenes. But when we start to talk about data and training your dragon, and again, I'm going to reemphasize this because this has also been part of the discussion. There's been a lot of backlash about AI. AI is kind of developing the same sort of, I don't know, buzzword or negative attention that NFTs received when the crypto thing went crazy. But AI as a whole, as a tool that's helpful and a way to train models, and all of those things can be very efficient, especially from a software planning standpoint. Now, for you guys, what's really important to understand about what's happening here is that each one of these dragons is its own AI model. Okay. So what does that mean? We are not taking all of your data depending on how you raise it, to train more or less like a massive LLM. That's not what's happening. The data is being used to train a model that is specifically your dragon. So the way that you engage, the times that you engage, how you engage, and anything that you allow us to have access to, which I'm going to preface here, you're going to have full control over that, right? So there isn't anything that you have to put or elect to do in order to have this experience work. But I have said this before, and I'm bringing it up again because the more that you give us access to, the more enriched your dragon's going to be in understanding you personally. Because that data, what we are planning on doing is more or less being stored on your device, and then creating image snapshots that are going to be, as the dragon develops more personality, different moods, ages, all those things, those images and snapshots will be stored on servers. So you could only imagine, like with some of the voice, who was it? I think it's ACPC training was talking about the voice part when you're speaking freezes. But that's because when you're transferring that kind of data real time, there's bandwidth issues. And think about that across thousands of users. And I say thousands of users because we're already there. Just a quick snapshot. 900, we've already shipped over 900 eggs at this point. And currently on our Kickstarter VIP, we're almost at 900. We just crossed 850, like I think it was earlier today, and we're bringing like, thank you guys for supporting this, because we're seeing so many people coming to this thing on an hourly minute basis. And you can probably see that in the Discord channel as well. The channel has just continued to rack up people. But when you start to think about that, especially when we hit scale, when we're at tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of users, trainers, then the bandwidth issue is going to be a thing, because if everybody starts uploading data or similar sorts of training, sequencing, all of that stuff has to be parsed, sifted, separated, and then stored. And we also have to keep it long-term so that we can have backups, just like we have even in a stasis or a cryo situation, because we don't want to delete your dragon. We don't want to delete the information that feeds your dragon, just in case that those things are come back online later on. And so that's one of the biggest reasons for why we have what we do. And the second one is because we are already working on the multiplayer side of this. And what does that mean? Yeah, your dragons are going to be able to interact with each other, and you're going to be able to see each other. It will start off more like a Pokemon Go scenario on the app, especially when we're looking at resources, sharing those types of sequences. But as we do move into the open world scenario, being allowed people to be on designated servers, private servers, all of those things, and being able to share that information at real time is a part of this, and it's built into it. So this isn't something that we're looking at raising prices later or scaling. The reason why the stabling is set the way that it is because we are looking at the 5-10 years down the line, and how everything's going to scale, and how that's all going to be supported. And we're putting ourselves in a position to make sure that your dragon has that lifetime of interaction, and you don't have to worry about it. And so that is the third thing that I actually want to bring up on this is actually the modality of the dragon. Because in a lot of scenarios, especially when you look at like a mobile experience, or separately a VR experience, or even a Steam that you download for your PC, there's one connection that it has to be in. And a lot of those things can be offered through like Unity player services or Unreal player services. The difference here is that we are keeping everything outside of that. And there's a reason for that, because the way that you train your dragon on mobile will transfer into what happens on VR. And we are still planning our trajectory to use Unreal Engine in the VR and XR experiences. And because we're in multiple different engines, and even the possibility of having some of this on your computer, on televisions, on the Apple Vision Pro, on the AR glasses that we've talked about, the Meta glasses, and some of those things, as well as TVs and projectors. This requires this to be decoupled from all of these scenarios, but still have the same instances of your dragon across all devices. And so as your dragon changes color, as your dragon changes size, it has to update real time for all the different pieces. And this is a lot of what we've been planning and putting into this. So if you think that it's taken too long, or that we need something else to happen, or that we're expensive, or it's this, I just want you to think of what it really takes to make dragons real again. And we've done that job. We've done that hard job, and we're bringing it to you in the best way that we know possible, and also allowing it to be scalable, sizable, and something that's digestible, especially for everything that's going on in the world right now with all its craziness. We hope to be around for a really, really long time. But that's kind of where I wanted to take that. Again, I would be showing some stuff, but something's going on with the bandwidth, and my fiber has failed me. I actually have 2 gig service, and I am actually running at about 300 megabits right now. So it's not the best. I am going to go through some questions that's more or less the nutshell. I just want to let you guys know this is more or less the nutshell of the stabling. If you have questions, plop them in there. I will be happy to go through and continue to answer on those. If it's also begged any additional questions that come up, and you want to share those, or even comments that you've experienced, and you just want to share your excitement, please type it in there. I'd love to see it. Love to talk a little bit more about it. So I'm just going to start moving down the list of some of the questions that I see in the chat. And we've got this from Michael Spratt, 1987. He is asking, could we clarify Dragon Federation's plan with the VR climate and with the sudden decline in VR usage and support? Does Dragon Federation still plan to create a VR world, or maybe focus on AR? So in a nutshell, the mobile device is what we're launching with. But the way that we are developing everything will be able to work on VR. For those of you that have started to test the binding mechanic, we have been going through and making sure that the cryptic system, the dials, the way that you use it is actually going to feel very similar in VR. Now, we understand that touchscreens are very different than hands and that type of thing, but the mechanic will still feel relatively the same. So everything that we're doing right now, although our focus is on mobile, has the 100% plan to be able to put that into the VR experience. I will talk a little bit, I'll go into a little bit more depth about that, and remind me toward the end of this, because it involves some of the news that we actually received over the weekend, actually just yesterday, about the weekend. And so I'll talk a little bit about that, but it changes a little bit for us. But VR is still absolutely on the roadmap. Everything that we're doing, most of the things that we're doing for the experiential are on high-end headsets, especially with the theme parks and some of the other activations that we will be having in person. But then we will also be having like screens and other things like we did at FanX, where you'll be able to engage with the dragons without headsets, without being on a phone. We have all of that design that's going into it. But yes, VR is absolutely on the roadmap. And when we get into the Kickstarter, which is it's quickly approaching. We are going to have some of our milestones that will, depending on how you guys help us achieve what we need to achieve, to be able to unlock how fast we get to the latest version on the VR. But that is all built into the campaign as well. So that is coming. Let's see. Is the server going to undergo a stress test for all the data and the user input? Yeah, absolutely. So that's actually underway right now. For those of you, I won't go into the technical term about it because it doesn't really matter. The way that this was built prior to last year was it was being spun up on two instances in the cloud. So if you look at like AWS services or Google Cloud services, what's really important to know about this is how many regions that you actually have the application available will determine how fast and the latency is performance to where you are located in the world. And that's because if you have all the files and the data stored, let's say in North Carolina, then anybody that's around that area is going to have faster services. But then once you start getting out west or Hawaii or over to the European areas, you're going to start to see lags, and lags like even in milliseconds, especially when you have a real-time feedback, it can be jarring and annoying. And so we had to create a different sort of server system that would allow us to create instances at will, that we can spin those up and bring them down for cost purposes, but make it so that it's absolutely performing at a level that you guys would expect to. So this is one of the reasons why the stress test and some of the other things about the data, how we're going to be storing that. And like I said, we are currently planning on doing as much as we can on your device. And this is not only to protect us, but it's also to protect you, especially in the instance that, you know, we can't hold on to the business anymore, and we have to maybe sell to a partner, or we go a little bit different direction with it. But to protect that, that's one of the really big pieces that we're doing with this. And again, thank you. Love it. Love the support. Are we going to be able to play the VR before the dragon hatches? That's a really good question. There will probably be instances of engaging or downloading exclusive content, I would say. The dragon hatching, so you kind of already have that ability right now, right? We have the demo first night that is on VR. For some of you that have experienced even it in XR, you can there's a good chance that we could even make some of those APKs and some of the work that we were doing on that upgradable. So that would be something like in a VIP that we can make available, and then maybe we're even rolling that out to additional people for supporting, like even in a stretch goal, because there are experiences that we already do have that are done, or at least playable, usable, that allow you to experience engagement with your dragon. And for those of you that have been to any of our live events, we've definitely had those on hand to showcase that. And so, in addition to what we are building, and because we are using Unity on this first build, that's a little bit more compatible with even things like the Apple Vision Pro. And I'm not saying that everybody has one of those. And in fact, the one that I have, it's a paperweight, to be honest with you. But it's still one of the better things that I've seen from a resolution standpoint, and even from uh, just the feel of the OS, and the tracking and everything else. It's so good, and so there's been a couple of us here that really, really want to engage with our dragon in that scenario. So we are working on that. How fast that will come, that still remains to be seen, but we'll keep you posted on that. Let's see. With the changes in some of the species, what dragons will be available at launch? We're still planning the same ones. So the Elder should be available, the Pygmy as well, and the Mountain Skull. There might be a slight lag in that because we're going to go through the beta testing with the Mountain Skull, obviously. But everything that we're doing on that animation sequencing right now, once that's done, it's just kind of a plug and play for all the other species, because the roadmap will already be defined and moving fairly quickly on that. The only thing that I will say is the Pygmy has some unique challenges. One, because it grows quickly to full size, even though full size is very similar to what it is even when it hatches. But two, it climbs on a lot of surfaces. And so that's one of the things that we are being mindful of, that may delay the Pygmy more so than any of the others, because originally the Pygmy was designed for VR, not for AR. And so I'm just putting that one out there as a precaution. But any of the other larger dragons and that we've talked about, we'll have some roadmaps and some other things published here soon as well. So just to share that. Let's see. We got Little Brat. Do you have a timeline when the Kickstarter will start up? Yeah, so we are planning the Kickstarter to start toward the end of this month. That's a bold statement, right? But based on how fast we're actually collecting new VIPs, we're going to hit our goal in the next week of what we wanted to have at minimum before we launch this thing. The only thing that's going to hang that up is a little bit is we have been getting the surveys back from you guys. So thank you for filling those out, because it's really important to us. We had nearly the whole campaign ready to be tested. But what happened was we got the surveys back and we realized that we were a little misaligned with what you guys were hoping to see on that, as well as some of the priorities that were for you. So we've got a tremendous sample size, because over 100, we've gotten over 100 of those surveys back at this point. And that's a decent enough sample size, especially with overwhelming percentages, that we want to make sure that we hit those things just out of the park. So my top priority is with my team in some of those showcasing, and I will share this with you, showcasing how you will bond with your dragon, how your dragon will bond with you. What are the daily activities that you're going to be doing in that? And this is definitely after the hatch, right? So showcasing how your dragon is going to be moving. And I've done this before. I've shown a little bit of pieces of this, but the system just continues to evolve and get more and more advanced. And I cannot wait to showcase this for you guys, because these little baby dragons, as they are learning, is just so amazing. It's so amazing to see. It's so amazing to watch. And we're going to put these sort of slice of life pieces all together in the Kickstarter to be able to show what that daily interaction is going to look like. And we do hope to have that even off of the small screen by the time it does hatch. Not to necessarily say that it will be in VR, but to have upgradable custom viewing options with different phases of life. And so I'm really excited to show that. But yeah. So we are looking at that on the Kickstarter right now. We are not that far away. We're throwing everything that we have at it right now, and so we're hoping to really get this launched by the end of the month. Hoping no much later than mid-September at the worst. So that's where we're going with that. Let's see. It would be nice to just have a ton of supporters with blank checks to get the fast tracked for the holiday release. The good news on that, Sprat, is that we are targeting everything to be up and running for the holidays. And when I mean everything, I mean that we've already gone through the beta. We've validated everything, and you guys will start raising your dragons officially. And that goes back to the other question that was asked about, will everybody reset for that moment? And yeah, it will be a reset. We are going to hope, I don't know if we're going to have to gate it, but we might, just at least for anybody that's purchased the egg prior to the Kickstarter, they'll probably start a little bit premature than some of the people on the Kickstarter, just because we want to make sure that everybody's not experiencing the same point of life at the same time, if that makes sense. And so we are looking at those pieces of it right now. Beth Marcellus is asking, if you have two dragons, will they play with each other when they are young? So that's what the multiplayer piece is, and we will see that in some of the milestones that we have for the Kickstarter. But we absolutely plan on that happening. So your dragons will be able to learn from each other. And the good news is the youngling stage, the hatchling stage. And that's another thing that I am going to be publishing here very soon and that's going to be a part of the Kickstarter, is the phases of life. So you'll get a rough estimate of how long each phase of life is going to take and what are the main sort of training milestones, personal milestones, rider milestones that you want to hit during those phases. And again, if you don't want that stuff, just close your eyes. When we're looking at it, maybe we'll just write spoiler. This is what your dragon's going to go through. But we really do feel like at this first pieces of this, it's going to be more helpful than it's going to be hindrance. But yes, we do plan on having the dragons being able to engage with each other, especially within the first year. So let's see. So important question. Top priority, when will Dragon Federation come to the Dragon Con? That is a really good question. I think that, so the last time we checked with them, I'll just share this with you, they were full. And we were kind of punching above our weight class at the time. And they were like, no, if somebody drops out, then maybe. So we think that we have to play a little bit of a game with Dragon Con specifically. Next year, we are planning on attending GameCon. We are working out a full residency with, we're trying to work through that right now with FanX. In addition to what we are doing with our theme park partners, we're hoping that we're going to have enough firepower that hopefully when we knock the doors of some of these events, Comic-Con, even the Reed Pop stuff that goes nationwide, some of the international stuff, that we can start getting into these, because starting next year, we're looking at having an events team that travels around. And that's because I don't know how much you guys would be interested in this, but we talked about this a little bit. Even having these sort of activation places or these pop-up things that would allow you to schedule and book an opportunity to go and at least hatch your dragon in sort of this 5D encasement that really makes the moment special. So that you could have that recorded in a special way and even be able to go through this sort of special thing. But we are looking at things like that. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but We will eventually get out east for sure. I just don't know how long it's going to take, especially for the big ones like Dragon Con. So I'll share that with you. Let's see. If you have different species of dragons, we have to be careful in their interactions where they have select which dragon we want to use. You should be able to select. The truth of the matter is at this point, those breeds are there for your use. Them engaging with each other, I think, is going to be more of a tell of how well you've bonded with them, how old they are. Because like we've talked about before, the terrarium side of this is because we've learned the dragons need to socialize. They have to be nurtured and fed by their siblings and their mothers. Otherwise, they become holy terrors in their own sort of way, and they don't really learn the proper etiquette and how to engage with both humans and other dragons. And so that's a key part of it. So depending on the age and depending on your bond level and how you've trained them, they should absolutely get along. And more so than anything else, is they should be allies, especially for some of the things that you guys want to accomplish. And that's what we're going to get, especially as this evolves and you start to see what's going to be coming down in the pike. That should get you excited. So great to hear that you have an egg and you're into the Kickstarter as well. Like the more supporters that we have, the better off that this is going to go. We're definitely tracking in a really good place right now. So keep that love and support coming. I know some of you have evangelized this to your friends. Continue to do that. We are going to have like social rewards and other things to kind of help with the Kickstarter. And even some of the ambassador programs that we rolled out before, we're going to be able to kick those off again. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. Let's see. I love the idea of an immersive hatchling or binding moments. Yeah, we've got some really cool stuff on that planned, and I think that it will be. I think you guys will really dig it. We'll be able to share that, but I don't want my elder to eat my mountain skull. The good thing is most of the dragons really aren't. They don't really hunt each other unless they have a greater cause to do that. From what we understand about the elders right now is that they're more solitary than they are aggressive in that way. But if provoked, they do lash out, right? And they are an aggressive animal. So you're just going to want to train him appropriately, or her, depending on what you get. Well, we are already, good grief, this hour goes by fast. And I want to give anybody else that may have a question, if you wanted to post into the chat. We've got a couple of minutes left. But I want to give anybody the opportunity that hasn't been able to have a question answered or to ask one to be able to do that. And I will read what Mr. Spratt has. Disney has a ride where you feel you're riding a Banshee. It would be really amazing to have that same tech to be able to ride your dragon. The one thing that we are doing, I will share this, is the tech that they have, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's more like you're on a guided tour. You don't really control the direction that you fly and that. I haven't done the experience, but I will say the tech that we are using and the devices that we are using are independently controlled simultaneously. So what will be interesting is the progress that you actually go through from the first time that you ever ride a dragon to the 10th to the 15th, because there is going to be a learning curve. Now, it's not going to stop you from being able to fly the dragon or complete the race or some of the experiences that we have that way. But in order to accomplish some of the more Easter egg type things, and even be able to understand how you want to train your dragon, you will have the ability to fly your dragon autonomously from the group. And that's one of the special things that we're doing with it. It's designed that way, so I can't wait. I promise you, the moment that we start having that thing, we're going to be sharing a lot of that because it's going to be really fun for me. But I'm looking forward to it. Let's see, it is, but allowing us to direct would be what would make the difference. Well, yeah, but in addition to making a difference of what Disney does, the design of what we're doing, and one of the reasons why we're looking at using VR, and yes, we are planning some opportunities for those that have ADA challenges or even motion sickness, so that they can still experience that without having to go into VR. But the headsets that we're using are industrial 8K resolutions, wide field of views, XR pass through, and there's some really cool things that we're doing in that. So it's and not to mention haptic. There'll be haptic vests and other things. So you're going to be suiting up as a rider to do it, and you'll feel your dragon in a way that hopefully blows your mind. I'm just going to say that. I don't want to I'm not going to give too much of this away right now because there's certain things. And if you're new to this whole experience with Dragon Federation, we plan and create anticipation, and that's for a good reason, because you guys, dragons and humans are reuniting. Like in this very moment, we're reuniting dragons and humans. And how amazing is that going to be? Not only when you see your dragon hatch, but when it starts to grow, it recognizes you, it's engaging with you, it's engaging with the world, it's engaging with your friends. And then you get the chance to jump on its back and even fly it. Yeah, these shouldn't be light moments. They're big deals. Yeah, you sit on a bike and see a big screen, basically. Yeah, we're not even close to that. So I'm excited to share that with you. Let's see. Theme park partnership. Will riders need to bring their eggs to the park to make sure we are interacting with our dragons? That's one of the reasons why we're already planning the design of the tech right now. We do have plans that when VR comes available, and some of these other experiences, that if you've looked at the gauntlets in the VR that the riders and the trainers wear, there's a tech screen that's placed in there. And we are hoping to plan to turn your phone into a device that would lock into a gauntlet and then turn not only into a passport that you could access your dragon at the parks and other things, but also be able to pull up information from sort of the in-world places, and as well as be able to check in on your dragon at real time. So we're looking at different ways in which that engages. And yes, you won't need to necessarily bring your egg because we have all that hard coded. And especially if you're going to be going to a park, unless it's a hatch event, then you will need to bring your egg. But if your dragon's already hatched, then you won't need to bring your egg. Let's see. Just take your time. Like you are rushing, it will cause mistakes and a risk of failure. Thank you for saying that, Prodigal Dragon. We have learned so much over the last 7 years, and I am going to have a very honest video as part of our Kickstarter, detailing what we thought we knew, what we thought we could accomplish, and how easy this was going to be. And we never thought it was going to be easy, but we didn't anticipate it being this hard. There is a reason why not a lot of people have attempted this. I truly do believe that. But I really do think that the way that it is coming together, we're definitely going to be we are already pioneering. But I think that we're going to change what's possible. And I think that we'll see that with your guys' reaction, with how you engage with your dragon and each other, quite honestly. So I'm very excited for that, and I appreciate that support and that level of patience, because we want it to be right, and we're working really hard for it to be right. So uh, let's share that with you. But yeah, we're coming down to that last little moment. If there is a last minute question that you want to get in, go ahead and throw it in there. Otherwise, we can let you go and give you 5 minutes back. Let's see, we've got right mindset, not leaping before you understand, which is what you need. And thank you. Again, I will just say, Prodigal Dragon, go into the Discord, spread that love, do it on Facebook and TikTok and all the other places, because like that's the one thing that I will say about this community. And I think that we're aligned, because dragons require a special emotional capability, if you will. And I've seen that more in this community than I have in anywhere else. And I'm so excited to be a part of it, because there's so much, not only excitement, but just really good people. And so, again, I appreciate you guys and all that you do and supporting this project, supporting us, supporting me, and trusting us. We're really excited to bring this to life, and we feel like we're just about to throw it over that cliff. So hang in there. Keep it coming. We're just about there to the Kickstarter, and we can't wait to see what's coming down the pike next. So, oh, thank you for the reminder. So, since we are at the end of this, I will share this. One of our lead developers, especially on the VR side, passed this last weekend. And I don't want to end this on a downer note. It's a little bit, it's tough to either bring it up in the beginning or at the end of any sort of conversation, but it was a big blow. He was a critical component to getting our VR published, to getting the Dragon moving around, as well as what we were planning and working on on the Dragon flying. He was a wizard, especially with Unreal Engine, and had an incredible network and support behind him, but he's no longer with us. And so it was kind of a little upsetting, because I had reached out to him just this last weekend on Friday. I didn't hear back from him, and I reached out to another colleague that has been working with us on FanX, and he reached out to me and he said, "I don't know if you heard, but he's no longer with us." And it was a really big shock. It was a really big blow. I'm still trying to find out any details that can be offered, but he was in his 40s, and he was I don't want to say, he didn't have any children. So there wasn't like a lot of traffic in his place or anything like that, but it was one of those things that he was found, and that word is spread, and we're definitely supporting those that are close to him, and we're sad for the loss. We really are. It was a big blow. So don't want to. Well, it is what it is. We are dealing with it, and we're working through that. But the prayers to his families would go a long way. His name's Fran, and he was a critical component for our success, especially on the VR side. So I appreciate you guys asking and even sticking in for that. So, yes, a monument, that'd be awesome, especially what we're looking at for the Shrine of the Ascendant for a lot of our trainers, our early trainers and supporters. That would be that'd be a good thing. I agree with that. Well, on that note, everybody, thank you again for being here. And again, thank you for supporting this project. It is a Herculean effort, and all of the team that's here for this expedition, they're all here for it. So it's great. We've come a long way, and we're really excited for what's coming down next. I hope to be doing these a little bit more often, especially as we get closer to the Kickstarter release. So you know hope you guys can all join. And if there are better times that we can do different ones, but let me know if you'd like to be on the live. Otherwise, just watch the redux and the post, and we'll talk to you guys soon. So appreciate you all again. Have a good night.